Hi, my name's Leon Rowe, currency trader and trading coach at trading180.com, and welcome to this week's supply and demand Forex technical analysis. If you're new, welcome, and if you are returning, welcome back. And I hope you are finding good trading opportunities with the levels that I present every week. Don't forget that I do put a link to all of the charts in the description box below, as well as the timestamps. And although we do focus on technicals, the fundamentals are what drives the technicals, is what I believe anyway. So I definitely keep one eye on the fundamentals first, and to determine really value and which currency I should be buying or selling based off of things like interest rate hikes or cuts or holds, or where a country is in its business cycle, whether it's in the contraction phase or expansion phase, boom phase, bust phase, etc. And I basically see what's weak, what's strong, and then look at trading those pairs, right? So if you want to know a bit more about fundamentals, I have a free trading course. Link is in the description box below as well. Fundamentals and sentiment analysis, and also got a spreadsheet here where if you click on it, it takes you to the spreadsheet, and it will just give you my bias on what I'm buying and selling from a fundamental perspective, not from a sentiment perspective, risk on and risk off, which is also covered in the fundamental analysis course. So definitely check that out and establish your value and which direction you want to trade. Then look for demand zones or supply zones in the direction that you want to trade when it comes to establishing value. So let's get into now the technicals. And from the last week, Dow Jones Dollar Index, or the week before, we have let's press play and see what's happened. So we did react off of this supply zone, and I did say last week I probably expected this to come down to this second demand zone, where because pretty much what you've got is when you get several touches of a level, more than 2, 3, this is probably the fourth touch here, then it gets weaker, as we know when you trade demand or supply. So I was expecting prices to really come down here and turn around. So this is probably what's happening right now. So I can get rid of this demand zone. If you go to the charts, I've actually updated it before, so I did delete this and updated it. So this is where the new supply zones are. Lower highs and lower lows are areas of supply, and higher lows are areas of demand. So what we've got is prices have come down into this area of demand. Let me add some more demand onto this chart as well. Right, so this is where value is potentially, because it was in the past. And if you want to know more about why I do draw supply and demand zones where I do and how I do, then there's a few courses to check out. Again, the links are in the description box below. The beginner's guide to supply and demand, and also how to draw supply and demand zones using candlesticks. So we look for areas of demand and supply on daily time frame charts, and then what we want to do is look for where other traders are potentially trading within those areas, and it adds to the supply and demand equation. So we look for horizontal support, right, which is what everyone trades. Then you've got diagonal and dynamic, which is moving averages. Again, I've got a link in the description box below, so you can check that out. So this week, if we, I expect prices to kind of at least come up to the supply zone here. If not, then I would probably guess that prices should react off of probably this area right here. Got a bit of a zone here. You also have, let me just zoom in a little bit. All right, so you've got a bit of a wide supply, demand zone right there. So I'll leave it like that for now. So if prices do decide, if you want to be a buyer, now is pretty much the time to buy. Not on the Dow Jones Dollar Index, of course. It would be on any of the dollar pairs. You're looking for dollar overall strength, as the Dow Jones Dollar Index is a measure of dollar strength against the pound, euro, and the yen. And if prices start to turn up here, then you would look for buying opportunities for the dollar on any of the dollar crosses, right? So this week, what we want to do, if you've missed it already, you're probably looking for maybe a bit of a pullback, and this is maybe a fresher area of demand, as we've only really touched it, you know, once. You can call that twice. This is but pretty much just once, and then you've got, you know, this level here. So it's pretty fresh compared to what we were, or what we did see previously. Previous zone where we had, you know, prices touch once, twice, 3 times, right? So this is okay for another pullback, maybe some sort of double bottom if you want to buy. If you're looking to sell the dollar, then this is going to be your first opportunity around here, right? And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm probably gonna might drag this down a little bit, make it a bit more accurate to the underside. So I think around there is what you're looking for. So again, prices come up to the supply zone and start to sell off, then you'll be looking for sell trades on any dollar crosses. But again, you have to look for overall dollar strength. It's best to look for overall dollar strength when you are looking to enter on the other dollar crosses. So moving on to the dollar yen. And the dollar yen, since we last looked at it, we did kind of fall away. It wasn't really at a supply or a demand zone, but on the Thursday we did kind of touch the top end of this demand zone, and then we've bounced up from it. Again, that coincides with, you know, dollar strength on the Dow Jones Dollar Index. So now looking at where we are, what I will do is add a supply zone, because from a daily time frame perspective, we did make some lower lows. So supply zone right there. Now again, what you would do is look for maybe some weakness on the dollar index. If it comes up into a supply zone and starts to turn around, and you're looking for short trades. Also, what you want to do is look for risk sentiment. The Japanese yen is fundamentally weak, but it benefits from risk sentiment, meaning that when there is a lot of uncertainty in the markets, then the yen tends to benefit, as well as the Swiss franc. So as long as you know, the stock market is on the rise, bonds, you know, government treasury bonds are down, gold is down, the dollar is up, then you know, you want to be a buyer of this pair. If you start to see gold, you know, going higher, stock market's going down, then you want to be a seller, as well as obviously the dollar index selling off, right? But again, these are your levels, probably underside of this supply zone here, as well as this demand zone right here. And again, just keep in mind the supply and demand equation. Where are other traders looking to, you know, buy? And you can see where we would have had support, bit of support around this area here. So not only demand traders getting in here, there'll be, you know, traders that look to trade horizontal support if prices do start to break down around this 108 round number as well, right around this area here. So those are your options for the dollar yen. Moving on to the dollar Swiss. And the dollar Swiss, from the last time we looked, we were reacting off of this supply zone, but the Swiss is again fundamentally quite weak at the moment. Did put in this this reversal candle here, pin bar, but I think the really the bias is, you know, for dollar strength at the moment. Again, it's the best performing country really out of the G7, G8, if you want to call them the major currencies. So I'll continue to be a buyer of the dollar, you know, for the near term at least. If you are looking to be a buyer at the moment, let's go on to the charts. If you are looking to be a buyer, then what you'd be looking for is for prices really to kind of make a new high bullish high and then wait for price to pull back into what would be considered, and this would be considered a demand zone right here. But as we haven't created that yet on the daily time frame chart, we'd have to wait for that to happen. If you are looking to get short and you have shorted on this pin bar, then I guess you're looking to hold and looking for dollar weakness or Swiss franc strength due to maybe some risk off sentiment. And again, if you are short, you're probably looking to take profits somewhere around here, or maybe just before that. Look for areas where there are levels of maybe support and resistance, maybe structure, but yeah, I don't know. I can't really see Swiss franc strength coming into the market. Probably be more dollar weakness, to be fair. If prices do come down here anyway, we have a nice level, really nice level here, and this is what I would call a retracement CPR zone, right, within this demand zone, and I might talk about that later on in the week. So it's capture pain relief trading. So we've got a nice area here. We've also got this diagonal support as well, right? So we've touched it once, twice, reacted. So we've also got loaded demand here, so there should be potentially more demand orders here than supply from the supply and demand equation. If we're looking at maybe some moving averages, let's look at the 100 and 200, just above price at the 21 and the 50 is going to be around here as well. So no really dynamic support and resistance or support around here. You're looking at diagonal and horizontal at the moment. So that's pretty much your options for now for this week. And then again, if prices do break through here and you want to be a shorter again, this will be the area to look to get short. Moving on to the dollar CAD, and the dollar CAD, since we last saw, we did have a bit of a reaction last week, but then we had some CAD strength come into the market. Oil, you know, demand coming into the market, and the CAD not doing too badly on the economic front. So if we go back to the chart, live chart, we see we're actually down as well into this again, this nice little zone here where we've got horizontal and diagonal support within this demand zone, and we can delete this, and add some supply right here. So if you're looking to buy now, buy the dollar, now's definitely a good opportunity to buy the dollar. If we're looking at any other demand zones at the moment, probably we've got a cluster, a real kind of big zone around here, and demand right here. We're looking at an area of horizontal support. Looks like that is probably the most obvious area. So we got resistance, bit of resistance here, bit of support, resistance. So that's an area that I'd probably, if this immediate area fails, then look to buy right here. If I'm looking to buy this currency pair, I can get rid of that one there. So right now, if you're looking at, you know, dollar, Canadian dollar weakness and dollar strength, US dollar strength, you probably would be looking at the oil market and see where oil is. If it's at a supply zone, and oil looks weak, then this would definitely be a buy. And obviously look at the Dow Jones dollar index for some extra confluence in this area, and see if, you know, money is flowing into the dollar. Moving on to the New Zealand dollar, US dollar, and again, last week we had some New Zealand strength come into the market. Here we go. So there was an opportunity to get short right here, and then prices and eventually went higher, now creating another, you know, pin bar type candle, right? And we're at really the top of the range, the top of this range, which is what I actually look for when I trade. Let's go to the New Zealand dollar. All right, so we can delete, start clearing some of this stuff up, and delete this as well. So got some demand here, and demand stays there. Now, if you're looking at prices being contained between this high and this low, and when prices come back, it's like this is where potentially we could be with one of the best opportunities to buy. So let me just get that tool again. And what I mean is that price could start to range between this high and this low, right? So this is fair value in between a high and a low, because this is going to be either, this is proven to be a bargain area for the dollar, US dollar that is, and prices obviously went down. The prices returned back to this area. This is a potential first area for a potential bargain again for the US dollar. If you're buying the US dollar, we know that for a fact because prices obviously went down. For the New Zealand dollar, there was obviously buyers got in here. There was an absolute bargain for the New Zealand dollar down here, right? So what we could see is prices start to range between this 0.69 level, put it up to here, and start to range between, you know, that lower end of the range and that higher end of the range. And I can't remember who asked me. There was a trader that asked me about how do I trade ranges, and I'm going to get into that in the video this week, and how I really identify ranges, my process of identifying ranges. You got a little bit here, but I'll be going into more about how I identify ranges and how I really trade ranges, yeah, in the video this week. So from a buying perspective of the US dollar, this is great opportunity to try and look for shorting if that is your trade entry, you know, that little pin bar right there. Again, if you're placing your stops, right, if you're looking to get in short, then I'd probably looking, it's susceptible for stop hunts, to be fair, right? It's very obvious at a very obvious level. So you might see prices come up, stop you out, and then continue going lower based on US dollar strength. So if you are looking to get in short on this, just be aware that, you know, it's if you place your stop too tight, you could be probably potentially getting stop hunt. The safest place to be to place it up here, but then again, depends on your risk reward as well. So what kind of risk reward you want. So if you do something like that and then maybe trade it down towards the end of the range, you're still looking at a 2 to 1, etc. for the long term. But just be careful, and again, if you do want to enter this, maybe enter with maybe half a position, right? It is an area that I look for, but I'm just quite wary of the strength of the New Zealand dollar, as they have I think the Reserve Bank of New Zealand have taken interest rate cuts off the table. So the New Zealand dollar at the moment seems to be rallying quite strongly, but it's a great area to look for short trades. If you are looking for a long trading continuation of this you know, this trend within the range, you know, higher highs, higher lows, then this would be the first area to look for long trades. You also have a bit of a let's look to the left. Yeah, got a bit of a level where it's been used as support, resistance, bit of support there and resistance within that area. So we've got the confluence of demand and horizontal support also as well. We've got some, look at that trend line there. So we could see a decent buying opportunity if prices do come down here for the New Zealand dollar, right? If you're looking to buy the New Zealand dollar. Moving on to the pound dollar. Been going from strength to strength. If we load new bars, I'm actually short in this at the moment, right? So prices have come up into this area. I did say last week just to be careful though, because this level has been touched several times, right? And the more it's touched, the weaker it becomes. So I entered pretty much like a half position, just a speculative position. I mean, every trade is speculative to be fair, but I just entered the half position just to see where it goes. Trying to take advantage of Brexit, you know, some Brexit uncertainty, right? And there hasn't been any, obviously no deal has been made. So if price continues to go my way, I might add in, but for now, got a short on this currency pair. Expect obviously the dollar to gain in strength. If this doesn't work out, then I'll just get short somewhere a bit higher, probably at this fresher area. So let me go to the chart. All right, so probably this area above maybe the 1.33 level, anywhere probably above that would be more of an optimum area, if you want to call it optimum, but it's a, you know, better, fresher level of supply. But this supply zone has been touched several times, so if you did get in, definitely I would say try and manage your risk, and depending, obviously keep an eye on the fundamentals and what is happening on the news wise surrounding Brexit and obviously dollar news. Now if we're looking to be sellers, then what you want to do, sorry, buyers of the British pound, then obviously now is your opportunity on the lower time frames. If that breaks down, then obviously you've got these areas within these demand zones here, right? And again, let's have a look at maybe some diagonal support, and supports the dollar, sorry, the pound. Yeah, probably looking at maybe something like that. Quite a steep trend line to be fair, but you can see where it's reacting off of that level there as well. So buying and selling opportunities around there. Anything on the from dynamic, so you've got a 21 and the 50 around here, probably the 100 and 200. Obviously you got the 200 supporting this area right here. So from a technical perspective, this looks like a decent trade. Just be aware though that you are buying potentially the pound at highs, as you know this would be the strongest area of demand all the way down here, and you're buying, this is fair value from this overall range, then you are buying at the highs. I'd probably more wait for a pullback around here or here before looking to get long. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't get long maybe on a day trade. If you trade the lower time frames, maybe like the hourly, the 30-minute, 15-minute, 5-minute, etc., there's definitely enough room, you know, to the upside, you know, enough pips in during the day for you to get maybe, you know, 20, 30 pips, etc. But if you're trading the higher time frames, like, you know, the 4-hour like I do, then this isn't necessarily the greatest place to try and look for buy trades on the dollar. You're looking for more of a pullback within this overall range. Yeah, so that's the low, that's the high, right? This is potentially expensive area for the pound if you're looking to buy the pound. So you're looking for, always looking for pullbacks to levels of demand, right? And looking at the overall range and where you are you buying above fair value, below fair value, etc. Moving on to the euro dollar. So euro dollar, we did get a bit of a move through. I didn't expect this to hold, to be fair. I am short in this currency pair as well. Got in around here, took partial profits 1-to-1 on this on an intraday trade now. So on my second position, I'm just going to see if I can let it run down to the lows, as the euro is looking quite weak from a fundamental perspective. Again, Brexit, you've got Italy going into a recession, so it's not looking too great. Again, the budget, Italian budget, isn't you know, settled or anything like that, so potentially some more turmoil for Europe, right? So at the moment there was a couple of opportunities to get in short from this perspective. Let's look at the euro dollar and blank. All right, we can delete this. There is some hidden demand right here, and for those of you that have watched the free course, you'll understand what hidden demand is. Again, the link is in the description box below, and how we draw hidden demand. So what we could see this week, if you're looking at euro strength, looking to buy there. If you're looking for obviously a sell trade, if you go down into the lower time frame charts, this was pretty much the entry right here, this nice outside candle into supply, one-to-one move to the downside. So now I'm looking at probably a pullback and probably an extension to the downside right here, like that. So you've got a move where you got lower highs, lower lows. Now, do I know that's going to happen? No. This game is about probabilities, but because I've taken a one-to-one on this this initial trade here, the next position is literally just a free trade unless I start moving my, trading my stop, etc. And as they say, lock in some profits. But for now, this is a decent trade, and this is also actual breakout CPR on a daily. And again, I'll see if I go over that during the week, right, and explain why I did enter around here. So buying opportunities, again, you've got a level here. It's quite choppy. There's really no horizontal support in that area. I'd say the clearer area is probably down here. If you don't see anything on the daily, the best thing to do is to go down maybe onto your trading time frame and maybe look for some potential horizontal support and resistance within that level of demand. So as you can see, you've got resistance, bit of support, resistance, and then you can see where prices has reacted. It hasn't quite come into that demand zone yet, a few pips away. So if you are looking to be a buyer of the euro, it's somewhere going to be within this zone before looking to buy. Right, looking to sell, you're probably looking maybe at some sort of retracement, double top, maybe back up into here. If not, then the next area to get short is going to be right here. Moving on to the euro yen. Euro yen really hasn't gone anywhere, but it started to trail up, but it hasn't really created anything worth looking at from a supply demand perspective. I mean, technically we have created another demand zone there, and I would probably just add that there has been some support, horizontal support within that demand zone there. Look to the left and just see if I can see anything. Suppose it's all right. Suppose you've definitely got a level there that has been tested. Yeah, it's quite a decent level. So if prices do come back down into this zone here, then look to be a buyer. From a selling perspective, again, this is going to be the area to look for sell trades. Again, the euro, watch out. They're both really I suppose uncertain currencies. Again, fundamentally, the Japanese yen is quite terrible. It's going to benefit from strength, from risk off strength, and the euro. If the euro, with Brexit and everything else, you might want to definitely, but look to potentially get short around this level here if there is a lot of Europe uncertainty, right? Moving on to the Australian dollar, US dollar. And since we last looked at it, we had a bit of Australian strength. We did react off of this level here, and then we had some Australian strength. I think there was some inflation numbers that came out positive for the Australian dollar, so it pushed it higher, taking out that supply. So let's look at this chart here. Go to the daily time frame chart. Don't know why that's dragged down here. Shouldn't be like that, because the supply is hit. All right, so we can delete this, add some demand right here. Delete this level here, and I'm going to delete this as well. So now from a supply and demand perspective, what we're looking for is prices to really come up to here before looking to get short. If we're looking to buy, then we're looking at trades to come down to here within that area of demand. We definitely have some an interesting area. All right, it's definitely an area that's been touched again. Support, bit of support and resistance there, there, bit of resistance there. So if prices do again come back down, look for buying opportunities if you think that the Australian dollar is going to get stronger. Again, if you think that the US dollar is going to get stronger, then this is really the area to look for short trades. And finally, we have the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Again, we've gone sideways for a little bit. So from this week, it's been looks like been some risk on sentiment, again some positive sentiment. I think the stock market has been rallying a little bit as well. So that all adds to the Australian dollar sentiment and risk on sentiment. So if we're looking at this again, pretty similar to the Aussie dollar. Actually no, it wasn't Aussie dollar, sorry, euro yen. Right, we can delete this, put some demand here, take away that there, and then yeah, pretty much we're just looking for prices to come down anywhere around this area here before looking at long trades. If we're looking at sell trades, this is going to be your first area of supply. And again, why would you short this pair is really because again the Japanese yen benefits from risk off sentiment. So if you start seeing the stock market selling off, gold increasing and prices are up here, then it adds some extra weight to the risk off trade that you would be taking on this this pair. So that brings us to the end of this week's supply and demand technical analysis. Hope you find it useful. By the way, if you have any questions, definitely put them in the description box below in the comment section. I've got 2 videos to make for this week for 2 traders. One was asking about higher time frame analysis and how I go about breaking down higher time frames into lower time frames, and the other video I've got to complete this week for another trader is regarding trading ranges. So look out for those videos, and if you do have any questions that I can help with, please be a bit specific rather than questions about how do you trade supply and demand. Obviously that's quite a broad question, but if you can be quite specific and if I can help you, I will make a video for you as well. So don't forget to like, subscribe and share if you do like the videos every week and you want more content as well. There's a notification button and it'll alert you as soon as I release a video. Hope you guys have a great trading week, and thank you for watching and take care.